Janine, whilst this show is going out to on my Bitcoin show, and there's lots of Bitcoiners listening, I'm almost certain that this show will be shared a little bit wider to people who maybe don't listen to the show regularly, because they'd be really interested to hear about the case and hear from John and Gabriel. So, should we just do a very brief explanation of why Bitcoin as a technology was able to solve financing problems for WikiLeaks? Specifically, what it is that is unique about Bitcoin that enables that?
Yeah, I mean, and I first want to say actually, the reason that I got into Bitcoin was because of the Cypherpunks book, Cypherpunks Freedom and the Future of the Internet, by Julian and various other authors, because they actually talk about Bitcoin at that point and how it helped them get through the banking blockade. And that's how I first remember. I think I might have heard about Bitcoin before then, but that's how I remember really getting interested in it, was once I heard about it through that book. And I mean, I think the reason is because, as you've discussed probably over all of your shows, Bitcoin is decentralized, and that also helps it be censorship resistant. And that is not something that you find in basically any financial system except for maybe cash. So I mean, that's why I became interested in it, because at the time I was already wanting to be a journalist, and the idea that, my bank account could get shut down in retaliation for me publishing something that someone didn't want me to publish, whether it was the bank, whether it was someone putting pressure on the bank, that always interested me. And so I do find it interesting that even though it's been over 10 years now since Satoshi, because Satoshi actually predicted that WikiLeaks would not stand to get more than pocket change. That's exactly what they said in the Bitcoin Talk forum about this. And that ended up being completely false. In 2017, Julian actually said on Twitter that he actually thanked the US government for the blockade, because that basically instigated them into adopting Bitcoin. And I think he said they made I think it was like 50,000% return or some absurd gain. So they did really well out of that. I also think that, part of the reason they adopted it is because Bitcoin and WikiLeaks both come from, the cypherpunk tradition, at least the thought processes and values that were fostered there. And so he was interested in it very early on for that reason. The cypherpunks in general, as you've probably talked about before, have been interested in digital currency for a long time, and there have been many attempts, and Bitcoin was the most successful attempt, because there have been previous attempts that have been taken down by the US government and other entities because they were centralized. And Bitcoin was so far the first example where that hasn't been the case, and it has survived, as WikiLeaks has for over 10 years now. And yet I still get people telling me that, they don't want to talk about WikiLeaks or anything as Bitcoiners, because they think that will potentially hurt Bitcoin. And I just think, well, Bitcoin was so much weaker 10 years ago, and that didn't happen. What are you still afraid of? I feel like if as Bitcoiners, if you care about this case and you think you can't talk about it, then maybe you don't have as much confidence in Bitcoin as you thought, because this was a real test for it, and so far it's working.
That's a very, very fair point. And also, thank you, Gabriel and John, because you have provided us with this unique audio clip of Julian explaining Bitcoin to Eric Schmidt from Google. So that's fantastic. We're going to share that as part of the audio